Hello and welcome to the Positive Mindset Tribe, a refreshing and empowering podcast on how to become a magnet for love, abundance, and joy. And as you've probably guessed, it all starts with your mindset. I am your host, Verónica Moreno, a mindset coach, therapist, and energy healer, and my mission is to share with you my most powerful tips, psychological tools, energy healing techniques, so you can manifest the joyful, meaningful, and successful life you deserve. Are you ready for your weekly dose of motivation, confidence, and empowerment? Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Positive Mindset Tribe. This is your host, Verónica Moreno, and today I'm bringing you a very practical episode with everything you need to know about how to have a positive mindset, things to avoid that will put you in a terrible mindset, and must-dos to make sure you start the day with the right mindset, with a good attitude, so life can flow for you. And you might be thinking that you already know what I'm going to say, that we need to focus on the positive, that we need to try to have positive thoughts and be optimistic and always see the bright side, but none of that will be in the list, because that's not how you develop a healthy, positive mindset. That is just fluffy, false positivity. There is a list of 6 things to avoid at all costs that will put you in a terrible mindset, and 6 must-dos for a healthy, positive mindset, and I'm sure some of them will really surprise you, so keep listening. In the previous episode, we talked about how changing your mindset can transform your life, why it is so important to pay attention to your mindset, and I explain what having a positive mindset really means, that it is not just about reading positive affirmations or trying to be positive about everything and live in a world of birds and flowers. It is much more than that. Having a positive, healthy mindset is about knowing and trusting that you have the tools and resources you need to deal with anything you might come your way. It is about believing in yourself, knowing how to celebrate the good moments, but also loving yourself in the bad ones, knowing how to be compassionate with yourself when you don't feel that great. It is about understanding your deep beliefs, the programs, the unconscious patterns that might be running your life unconsciously, so you can get rid of them and improve your self-confidence and reconnect with your inner wisdom. That's what a positive, healthy mindset is about. We covered this topic deeply last week in the previous episode, and it is a very important one. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, add it to your playlist before you forget. So in today's episode, I will be sharing very practical tools for you to achieve that positive, healthy mindset that will help you transform your life. So let's get started with the don'ts. Habits to avoid if you want to have a positive mindset. Number 1, start your morning by checking your phone. No. First thing you need to stop doing. Your mobile phone in general is something to avoid as much as possible. And if you think about the notifications beeping all the time, all those apps, all that content, our attention span has decreased dramatically because of this. And if you don't believe me, try to avoid checking your phone for 10 minutes. Set a timer if you have to. Do this test with me. And you might be thinking, of course I can survive for 10 minutes without checking my phone. Try and see, and you'll see how automatically you will want to keep checking it. It is addictive. Even if you've checked it only 2 minutes ago, you will want to go back to see if there are any notifications. It's addictive, and it has become a terrible habit that has made us literally addicted to this device. And I'm sure it's happened to you that you leave the house without your phone and you're like, oh no, the world is over, right? So using the phone constantly will reduce your concentration, your productivity, will mess up your brain, not to mention that what do you normally find on your phone? On social media or the news or WhatsApp group. And this leads me to don't number 2, which is avoid mainstream media news, whether that's the TV, radio, social media. They are toxic, as simple as that. Designed to promote fear, anger, so people can be controlled more easily. They're designed to brainwash us. Personally, I find very little truth in the news these days. I can only see bad intentions, manipulation. And I mean, tell me, when was the last time you watched the news and thought, oh, that was such a great use of my time. I feel so much better now. This was so useful. And I understand that you want to be informed about what's going on in the world. Fine. Well, try to find some alternative sources of information. If you want to learn about something, read a book instead of listening to the TV or radio, mainstream media in general. And don't get me started with the commercials that encourage such a superficial way of living, that make you feel that if you're not pretty enough, that if you don't make enough money, that if you don't have a fancy car, that you don't have the latest smartphone, you will be no one in this society. And especially because normally a lot of people that have the TV on or the radio on, they do it while they're eating or driving is kind of in the background. So all those terrible messages are going straight into your subconscious. And there is a reason why all those info commercials are streamed at night, around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., because it's when our subconscious is more sensitive to these messages, is more open to being programmed. So something that seems very innocent, which is having the TV in the background, all these messages are going to be going directly into your subconscious and forming all those limiting beliefs we talked about in the last episode and that we will be talking in future episodes. So even if you're not aware consciously of what's going on, were you watching such terrible messages from the news or those commercials, they are sending those beliefs. You might be forming or receiving the belief that men only like skinny women and that no one's going to love you if you're not skinny enough. That if you don't lose weight, you won't find love. And then you wake up every day thinking, oh God, I'm fat, I need to lose weight. Says who? That idea is just in your brain because of these commercials, because of this programming. So I got rid of my TV 6 or 7 years ago, and it was one of the best decisions of my life. And after all that time without having watched TV, now when I go to a restaurant or to someone else's place and I see it, it just sounds so fake. Like, I don't know, it just feels so bad. So best decision of my life, throw the TV out of the window. Your mindset is gonna really appreciate it, because all these negative messages, all these negative beliefs that are thrown at you again and again and again, your subconscious mind is absorbing them. Number 3, using wireless devices. Another thing to avoid, use of wireless devices. And this also links to what I've discussed about the mobile phone, mainly because radiation coming from mobile phones, Wi-Fi routers and other wireless devices that a lot of people have at home, this radiation is extremely harmful for our brain and for our energy field. It creates holes in our energy field and it messes up with our brain. Obviously, the big companies that make billions from selling you their super expensive smartphones are not going to tell you this, but there are many, many studies about the harmful effects of mobile phones and wireless devices. If you're skeptical, I totally get you. At the beginning, when I started learning more about this, I also thought, well, it can't be that bad, right? They wouldn't allow companies to sell something that is so bad for us. But I had an experience that made me change my mind completely about the use of mobile phones. So during one of the lockdowns, my phone fell into the water and I couldn't use it for, I think, at least 2 weeks. And well, obviously the initial shock was, I'm going to die. What am I going to do with a mobile phone? The world ends here, right? Well, turns out that you can survive without a mobile phone. And actually, I didn't buy another phone until like 6 or 7 or 8 months later, which again was a great experience that helped me a lot. It forced me. I think it was a blessing because it forced me to stop using it so much. Anyway, so I couldn't use it for 2 weeks and I really needed to make a phone call. So I used someone else's phone to make that phone call. And after that time, without having used it, while I was on that call, I was feeling how literally my brain was being fried. Like I could feel like something piercing my brain through my ear, and I had a headache for 20 or 30 minutes. I was really, really shocked. So that really made me change my mind, and ever since then I decided that I was going to use my mobile phone only for emergencies. I ended up buying another one because I use it sometimes when I go out. They can be useful for emergencies, I understand, but my phone is always on airplane mode. Always. Unless I'm using it for something very specific, it's either in a drawer, but always on airplane mode, so it's not radiating those harmful frequencies. At home, for example, for my laptop, I use an Ethernet cable. I don't use a Wi-Fi router. We never have the Wi-Fi on at home, unless for some reason we need to connect something in particular, but normally it's off. And especially when you sleep, please, 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 please turn your Wi-Fi router off when you go to bed, because it's going to be messing up with your sleep, and you will see that you sleep much better if you don't have your mobile phone on the bedside table, if you have it on airplane mode, if you have it out of the room, if you turn off the Wi-Fi router, any other devices you can think of. Because sleep is so important for our mindset. And think about when you have a when you have a bad sleep, how do you feel the morning after when you wake up? Terrible, right? I'm not going to talk a lot about the technicalities of it, but there are lots of studies, there's a lot of research around this topic. And it's not even about trusting one study. It's just that my own experience is that once I got kind of once I did a digital detox and stopped using my phone, then when I used it again, my body was like, this is not good for you. And I was really, really shocked. So try and see for yourself. Don't believe what I'm saying, just try it for yourself. Try not using it for some time and see how it feels. Try turning the Wi-Fi off at night and see if you notice any differences in your sleep. Try for yourself. Right. Number 4. Be very, very careful with the people you surround yourself with. Don't let negative people project their negativity, their insecurities, their prejudices towards you. So be very selective with the people you allow into your life. And if you need to say no to a commitment, if you need to say no to spending time with someone that you know is going to drain your energy, do it. Don't let them drain your energy. Don't let them steal your energy. Don't be exposed to people that you know are going to bring your mindset down. And we all know these people that when you meet them, because they're part of a group of friends or colleagues, and you have to spend time with them, then 1 hour later you go home and you feel so bad. And you feel so depressed. Or you feel so bad about yourself, and then self-doubt begins, and it's kind of a trigger. And I know sometimes these people can be family or close friends that you kind of just kick out of your life. I get it. But it is important to set healthy boundaries or limit the time, reduce the time you spend with them, because we are like balls of energy, like balls of light, and we are contagious. Right? So if someone has a very negative energy, a very dense energy, and you spend a lot of time next to them, you're going to be affected by that. It's going to contaminate your field, your energy. You're going to absorb that. And if you have to spend time with them, make sure that when you leave, you have a way to recharge, to let go of that energy, to cleanse yourself somehow. And we will be talking a lot more in detail about things we can do to protect from negative energies, from negative people, from psychic attacks. But for now, get the idea that if you can limit the time you spend with them or reduce the time you spend with them, is going to be very beneficial for your mindset. Number 5. I know a lot of you are going to hate me for this. If you don't hate me already from saying you have to stop using your mobile phone, now this one, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you, but my loves, don't eat sugar. And you may be thinking, why on earth would I have to stop eating sugar? How is that related to having a positive mindset? Well, the food we eat has a huge impact on our brain, on our mindset, on how our brain actually works. Why? Because different parts of the brain are fueled by different types of food. So sugar feeds the limbic brain. The limbic brain, it's the part of the brain that focusing on survival, and its primary emotion is fear. I'm sure you've heard about this part of the brain, about this part of the brain, because the programs of the limbic brain are known as the 4 Fs: feeding, fighting, fear, and fornicating. So basically all survival needs are instinct, the more animal part of ourselves, right? And when we're eating a lot of sugar, when our diet is mainly based on sugar, pasta, processed food, this is the part of the brain that we are feeding. On the contrary, the part of the brain in charge of creativity, problem solving, selfless love, sense of oneness, connection, any sense of spirituality or joyful high experience, that part of the brain needs healthy fats to work. So when you're eating sugar, whether that's chocolate, sweets, pasta, whatever it is, you are feeding the part of the brain that prioritizes survival, which means that you will be living in survival mode most of the time. Your brain will feel sluggish, foggy. I'm sure you've had this feeling of like not being able to concentrate or think clearly, feeling very heavy. And don't get me wrong, this function of the brain, it is necessary for emergencies when there is a threat. But if we want to access the highest functions of our brain, which are the ones that will allow us to have a healthy mindset, you will need to eliminate sugar from your diet. And yes, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but again, the science is there. The studies are there. And yeah, if we keep feeding the brain with sugar, we will be stuck in that survival mindset. And that won't promote a mindset for success, for joy, for love, for compassion, for spiritual experiences, because that higher part of the brain needs other type of fuel, other type of foods. And when you're eating a lot of sugar, that part of the brain immediately turns off. It can't work, it can't function properly. So you won't be able to have access to that part of the brain that deals with problem solving, for example, that helps us know how to cope with different situations instead of being triggered. When we eat a lot of sugar and the limbic brain is the one running the show, we're going to be stuck in all these primary heavy negative emotions like fear, anger, sadness, frustration, all about helping us survive. And I think it makes sense. I mean, it's not rocket science that when you have processed food, a lot of sugar, unhealthy food, you feel heavy, your brain doesn't feel right, you're not able to concentrate. But when you're eating healthy, organic, natural food with high nutritional content, you feel lighter. And it's not about eating little, it's not about the portions, it's about the quality of the food you're eating. And you can eat big portions, but if what you are eating is healthy, is organic, is natural, is full of nutrients, you feel lighter. You feel like you can work better. You feel more able to concentrate. You feel like you can understand things better, like you're more creative, you come up with different solutions. You can flow better, you feel freer, you can feel much more joy. And think about the last time you ate junk food, whether that's pizza, hamburgers, chocolate, whatever. How did you feel afterwards? And that's all you need to think about, really. So that was number 5, don't eat sugar. And number 6, our last don't. Please, 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 don't ignore your negative thoughts, your beliefs. Don't sweep under the carpet. If you can see that there are some negative patterns, that there is that self-negative talk that keeps coming back again and again and again, and is about the same topic, if there is a self-message that keeps repeating, Please pay attention to that. Don't sweep under the carpet. Don't just ignore them. Don't just say, well, I'll say a few positive affirmations instead. Positive affirmations are great. They're very useful, but not until you remove the old ones, the limiting beliefs, the negative thoughts. And to do that, you need to become aware of them. You need to go deep. You need to understand what they come from so you can start transmuting them. So if you feel that life is not flowing for you, that you keep repeating similar patterns, that you always get stuck in similar negative situations, there is something that might need to change. There is something about your mindset that will need to change. Because if you feel like you're always stuck and you're always repeating the same patterns, that's not how life should be. That is not how life is meant to be. So no more ignoring the negative thoughts, pretending they're not there, looking the other side. It's not going to take you anywhere. Right, that was a lot of information and a lot of don't do this, don't do that. But now we're going to move on to the list of the do's. Things and habits that will have a positive impact on your mindset. Number 1, add some form of meditation or spiritual practice to your routine. Meditation is one of my favorite tools ever. I think every person who has ever worked with me, I've told them to do some form of meditation. And by meditation, I mean it can be just sitting in stillness, closing your eyes, set an alarm for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or start even with a few minutes if you're new to meditation, if you've never done this before, and just focus on your breath. Or you can focus on a mantra, on a positive affirmation, for example. It can be I am love, I am light, I am abundant, whatever you want to work on. You might want to focus on a feeling of gratitude, or connecting with your intuition, or just sending love to yourself. But do this every single day, even if it's just 5 minutes, even if it's just a few minutes at the beginning, and then you can increase it as you get better and it feels easier. The benefits from meditation are endless, but one of the main things and why it is so important that you add meditation to your practice in relation to your mindset, it's because it will help you train your mind to control your thoughts, to become aware of your thoughts. It's like going to the gym. If you want to work a muscle, if you want to grow a muscle, you need to work on it. You go to the gym and do some repetitions. Our mind, if we don't train our mind, we will just get caught in a spiral of negative thoughts, in the monkey mind. And especially, like I was saying before, with the use of mobile phones and all these smart devices that are designed to keep us distracted, to keep our mind all over the place, we need to do something to train our mind. And it doesn't need to be difficult. It just takes 5 minutes of your day. And when you're used to just being an observer and just see your thoughts, train your mind to just be aware of your thoughts instead of engaging with them and getting caught in that spiral of normally negative thoughts, because we normally don't get caught in a spiral of positive thoughts and that just happens and we feel amazing, right? It's normally the opposite. Normally what happens is that we have one negative thought, and because we are not aware of it, we just follow it and we engage with it. And then it's kind of a trap. And then there's another one, and then another negative thought, and then another one. And it becomes a spiral that is very difficult to stop. But if you are used to training your mind, and if you are used to being an observer and just observe and become aware of those thoughts, then those thoughts don't control you anymore. You are able to control them. And it doesn't mean that you're going to leave your mind blank. That's not what meditation is about. And that's not the objective. The objective is not to just avoid any type of thoughts. The thoughts will still there. They will come. That's perfectly fine. The key is to not engage with them, is to not be controlled by that spiral of thoughts, but become an observer. And when we are an observer and we can become aware of our thoughts, then is when we can start doing the inner work and say, why do I have this negative self-message again and again and again? Why the message or the thought that keeps repeating is that I'm not good enough, or that I don't deserve love, or that my business is going to be a failure? Why does this keep repeating? And then by becoming aware, then you can, start to pull the string and see what happens. You can start to understand where it comes from, how is it serving you. But for that, we need to be able to have that mind training. We need to be able to just be an observer and not get caught or get lost in that monkey mind, right? Meditation is such a wonderful tool, and this is just like a very basic idea, to start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but there are some guided visualizations, for example, that can literally transform the brain. They're like really powerful healing techniques, and I have lots of these guided visualizations in my YouTube channel. So if you're a bit more familiar with meditation and maybe doing just 5 or 10 minutes of this, just sitting in stillness and awareness, if you're very familiar with this, please go to my YouTube channel. I will leave a link in the description. And I have meditations on different, very, very different topics, and see what catches your eye. But this is one of my favorite tools ever. So that's the do number 1. Do number 2, have a healthy morning routine. How you start your day will set the tone for the rest of your day. So this is a question to reflect on. What is the first thing you do when you wake up? And that links to don't number 2, which was don't look your phone as soon as you wake up. Get rid of that habit, because the first thing you do in the morning when you wake up will set the tone for the rest of the day. And think about the days when you just wake up and rush, or go straight to your phone, or leave the house completely in a rush, you skip breakfast. How did the rest of the day go? I'm sure the answer is not great, to say the least. So build a morning routine that, again, it can take 5-10 minutes. It doesn't need to be an hour long. That includes some meditation or exercise to train the mind. Add prayer to your daily routine. Intention setting, so you can be guided, so you can be protected, so you can be aligned with your highest purpose. And again, it doesn't need to be complicated, just a few honest words about how you feel, about asking for guidance, for help in some areas of your life, about feeling thankful and grateful for what you already have. Gratitude is one of the highest frequency emotions. Try for 2 minutes to just sit down, put your hands on your heart, and feel grateful for everything you have. Bring to mind things, people, experiences, situations that you have in your life, that you have had in your life, that make you smile, that you feel grateful for. And your day is going to change completely. Your mindset is going to change completely. The way you face the day is going to change dramatically. You can add many other habits to your morning routine. It could be a cold shower. It could be exercise. Even if it's, again, 10 minutes, it doesn't need to be anything intense, just to get the body moving, just to get rid of any dirty energy, to get the body moving, breathing, flowing, the blood circulating. Maybe do some journaling. If you're not very active in the morning, for me, exercise first thing in the morning is not my thing. It doesn't work for everyone. Maybe it's journaling. Spend a bit of time, Sometimes we wake up and we've had a bad dream, or we haven't slept well, and we've had negative thoughts in our mind all the way through the night. And you wake up and you still have them. So maybe do some journaling to let those thoughts out, so you can get rid of that, so you can start the day fresh, right? Or maybe any ideas. Sometimes we have dreams when we have inspiration or ideas. In the morning, we can have a lot of, our creativity can be heightened. So any ideas, any inspiration for the rest of the day, make sure you leave it in, you put it in paper, that you make it real. And obviously, ideally, you will have a healthy breakfast, like we've said, avoiding sugars, with healthy fat, with healthy protein, with natural ingredients, some supplements, whatever it is that makes your body feel good. So very important, how you start the day will set the tone for the rest of the day. So don't miss that opportunity. Don't start the day on the wrong foot and ruin the rest of your day because you didn't have 10 minutes centering yourself, calming your mind, and making sure that you start the day with the right mindset. Do number 3, spend time in nature. Spending time in nature is healing, is refreshing. You recharge. And you don't need to live in the middle of nowhere. to go to nature. You can go to your local park and just spend some time under a tree. And that's what it takes. And the beautiful healing energy that comes from the trees will help you feel much better. So less technology, less phone, less Alexa, more trees, spend more time near the trees, more time in the woods, in the sea, if you're lucky enough to live by the sea. Develop that connection with Mother Nature. And this is not just about healing physically, which is a big part of it. And if you think about it, when people were sick centuries ago, where did they send them? To nature, to the countryside, to breathe fresh air, to be surrounded by trees, by the sounds of birds, by nature. And not only physically, not only to heal the body and recharge the body, spiritually. We live so disconnected from nature, from the natural rhythm of life, of our human body, of our cycle, of the energies of nature. We cut trees to build smart cities. There are no smart at all. There are poison, contaminated, polluted, and they are making us sick because of the way we live, because of our habits, because that's not a natural way of living. This is not what we are designed to do. That is not how we are designed to live. With all this pollution, with all these toxins, with all these concrete buildings, with all those cars, with all those smart devices, that's not natural. That's not how we are meant to live. So try to spend as much time in nature as possible. It's going to improve your health. It's going to improve your emotions. It's going to improve your mindset. And spiritually, just having that feeling of connection with Mother Nature, with all the creatures, showing respect, so important. Do number 4, find your tribe. And that's one of the reasons why the Positive Mindset Tribe started, and why the idea of a tribe, because I want this to be a community of like-minded people that support each other. So know that while you're listening to this podcast, you are not the only one. There are many other people in the world listening to this episode, listening to this podcast, also wanting to improve their mindset, and they would love to support you. And it's so important to surround yourself with the right people. Like the other point, avoid spending a lot of time with negative people that drain your energy. This is the other side of the same coin, right? So find people that support you, that motivate you, that inspire you, that add to your life, not that take from your life. So for example, if you're starting a business, go to networking events and meet like-minded people, see what other people are doing, ask them questions, be inspired, find motivation. If you want to quit an addiction, go to a support group, people who are going through the same experience, and they will be willing to support you, to help you, to be with you in the journey. If you want to improve your health, sign up to the gym, do an activity with a group of people, or find a self-improvement buddy, you know? We all have that friend who's always super motivated. And if you have the same interests, partner up with someone, to keep each other accountable, to support each other. So if one day one is lacking motivation, you can contact your self-improvement buddy and say, you know what, I didn't do my morning routine today because I'm feeling so bad. I skipped my meditation today. I've eaten a lot of crap this weekend because partner up with someone. Surround yourself with people that will add to your life. And again, we are like balls of energy. We need to be surrounded by people who are in our highest interest. And I'm sure you have that person in mind. There is always one person who's very bright and they feel light and wonderful. And you spend 30 minutes with them and you're like, oh, I feel so good. This was so inspiring. I just feel so much better. I feel much calmer, right? Because we are like balls of light. So we interact with each other and we are exchanging that energy. So sometimes we will be the ones who have light and love and will inspire others and help others. But if we don't have the right mindset, we won't be in a good position to help anyone. And it's always good to have people in your life that inspire you, that motivate you, not people that bring you down. So find your tribe, very important one. Do number 5. Add some form of self-care and self-love routine to your day, to your week. Start developing a loving relationship with yourself. Even if it's just going in front of the mirror and say, I love you to yourself, to that image in the mirror, or just saying it out loud. I love you. I hear you. I respect your needs. I honor your needs. I understand you. I have compassion for you. Because we can be our worst enemies. We tend to be our worst enemies. The hardest, toughest criticism you will ever receive will probably come from yourself. We all do this. So one of the things to add to that morning routine is some form of appreciation, of celebrating yourself, of loving yourself. There is nothing better to improve your mindset than an honest I love you to yourself. And I know this can be difficult because we sound silly when we say these things, and that leads me to do number 6, which is be aware, observe those limiting beliefs, all those negative messages or negative thoughts in whatever format they appear. Instead of ignoring them, work on understanding where they come from so you can change them. All these limiting beliefs, all these negative thoughts, the self-doubt, pay attention to it, observe them. Ask yourself, where do they come from? Since when have I had this belief or this negative thought or this negative self-message? How were they serving me? How are they serving me now? Are they still serving me? Where are they going to take me if I keep getting caught in these thoughts, if I follow this chain of thoughts? Who used to tell me this? Am I repeating any patterns that run in the family? Self-reflection, gaining awareness is going to be one of the best tools you can use to change your mindset. But for that, don't be afraid to go deep. Don't be afraid to face those thoughts. Trust me, it is much better to become aware of them and be able to do something about it than sweeping under the carpet and having them running your life from the subconscious mind. So I've mentioned journaling already as one of the ideas that you can add to your morning routine, and this will be super beneficial to let those negative thoughts out, to get to know yourself better. And journaling is not about writing a biography or a diary. It doesn't need to sound good. You don't need to worry about the grammar. It's just for yourself. It's just to let out whatever negative thoughts or emotions are coming up for you. It's for you to ask yourself questions, to reflect on some questions, to get to know yourself better, to have your thoughts, also your positive thoughts, to have inspiration, to write down your ideas so they become real, so they can start manifesting. So pay attention to your mindset, to your thoughts, to your beliefs. Please don't ignore them. Become aware of them so you can do something about them. So that was the last do. I know that was a lot of information and probably you're still digesting. That was a lot to take. I'm aware of that. But I told you in this podcast we were going to go deep, and it was not going to be about fluffy, fake, false positivity, birds and flowers. But what I want to share with you is tools that work, right? That are going to have a deep, long-lasting effect on your mindset. So my invitation for you today is to start taking actions, to make a plan to reduce the don'ts and add more of the do's that we have discussed to your life. So what can you do? What things can you avoid? Or what things can you do to improve your mindset? And let's take a minute to recap here, because I know I've shared a lot of information and that was probably a lot to digest. So let's take a moment to recap here. So don'ts. 1. No mobile phone first thing in the morning, and in general, try to reduce its usage as much as possible. Number 2, reduce exposure to news, radio, social media, any sources of negativity, fear, anger that is not in your highest interest. Number 3, reduce usage of wireless devices, especially at night, please, so you can have a good rest. Number 4, set limits and spend less time with negative people that drain your energy, that hold you back, that go against your real values, that are trying to limit you and project their prejudices and insecurities and fears onto you. Number 5, reduce as much as possible or eliminate, if you're capable of that, sugar and processed foods, any form of junk food. And number 6, don't ignore your negative thoughts or beliefs or negative emotions. If you're feeling stuck, please don't sweep under the carpet. Don't ignore them. Don't look the other side. It's not going to take you anywhere. And the list of do's, we have number 1, add some form of meditation, mental training, prayer, spiritual practice to your daily routine. Number 2, develop a morning routine. Be very mindful of what is the first thing you do in the morning, because it will set the tone for the rest of your day. Number 3, spend more time in nature, whether that's the woods, the sea, or just a local park. Number 4, find your tribe. Partner up with a self-improvement buddy, someone you can trust. Surround yourself with people that inspire you, that motivate you, that uplift you, that can be an inspiration for you, that will support your development journey. Number 5, add a moment of self-care and self-love every day, definitely every week at the least, but if possible, every day, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. And number 6, become aware of your thoughts, of your emotions, of what is coming up for you. Embark on that beautiful self-discovery process, whether that's through journaling or talking to someone or doing some therapy or coaching, but start that beautiful process that is going to help you clear and get rid of all those limiting beliefs, programming, past experiences, so you can transmute them and you can start reconnecting with your true self, with your inner wisdom, unleashing your inner power. We all have that inside. So don't be afraid to go deep. You're not going to regret it. So with this information, with this summary, what is going to be your action plan? I would love to hear about your plans and obviously the results once you implement them. And if you go through this list of 6 don'ts and 6 do's and you just think, one example, one thing you can do starting today or tomorrow, I promise you your mindset will improve dramatically. You just need one step. You just need one thing that you can commit to doing. And here, a piece of advice: don't try to change your life completely. Don't try to put your life upside down suddenly. I mean, if you can commit to it, if you can do it, you have all my support and all my admiration. But in my experience, if you are trying to get a good shift, it's better to start with things that you can commit to, with a plan that is realistic, because otherwise it will become too overwhelming and then you're going to start procrastinating. You're going to feel like it's too much. You won't want to do it, and then it's going to be frustrating. So think about the big wins, right? So think about actions that don't take a lot of time, that don't require a lot of effort, but will bring you the big wins, the big results. So for example, if you don't have a morning routine in place, don't plan a 1 hour long morning routine, because very likely you're going to give up on the 3rd day. Maybe for a week, start with 5 minutes of meditation. Then the week after, you can add some journaling. Then the week after, you can pay attention to what you eat for breakfast. Then the week after, you can think about adding some exercise or exfoliating your skin or having a cold shower, things like that. But take it one thing at a time. Don't make it too overwhelming, because otherwise it's going to be frustrating. So think about, when you make your plan and when you select your actions and your next steps, think about what things will bring the biggest results. So we are trying to be smart and efficient here, right? So again, I would love to hear about your plans, your next steps, and how your mindset is shifting and improving as you implement these steps. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for being here, for listening to this podcast, and thank you for being part of the Positive Mindset Tribe. If you are enjoying this podcast, please subscribe, give it a good review, and share it with your friends and loved ones. Invite people to the tribe. The more, the merrier. I will leave a link to my website in the description for those of you who want to find out more about my background and the work I do. My website is veronica-morena.com. And feel free to reach out with any questions or suggestions of topics you would like me to cover in future episodes. Sending much love and light to everyone. See you next week. Bye bye.